Hello everyone, and you're watching Bitcoin Bubble news channel. The smart CFO will think maybe I can trade one for the other, but think about what would happen if every CFO based their entire business on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes up 25% or 30% a year, wouldn't the other half of your business also go up by 30% a year? You can see that if equities make money off of Bitcoin, there will be a coming together. Singapore is the place where Token 2049 starts this week. Please let us know if you plan to attend the event. There is no better time to watch this insightful talk with Michael Saylor and Saifuddin Amos as Token 2049 plays out. We talk about how Bitcoin could change how countries handle their money, how it might be used to back national currencies, and how it could lead to competition around the world over Bitcoin reserves. Bitcoin is selling at about $61,000 right now. It has gone up 5% in the last 24 hours and a further 5% in the last 7 days. Enjoy the talk and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Let's hear more from Michael Saylor now. The law of large numbers says that Bitcoin won't grow 4 times as fast as this other big pool. Instead, it will grow 3.5 times as fast. And I don't think it stays the same just because Bitcoin works better. I've said before that my idea is like this: if you look out into the infinite future, if the money supply or currency in dollars grows at 8% a year, it's at. The SP index should grow at that rate or that rate plus 2 or 3%. If that happens, Bitcoin should grow 8 to 10% faster than that, or 8 to 10% faster with more fluctuation. But think about a world where Bitcoin is worth $20 billion, the SP is worth $12 billion, and the cash supply is growing by 8% each year. Of course, that's the bear case or the bull case. The bear case for stock is that it hasn't done as well as the currency supply. And that has to do with tax policy. That is, if you're looking at the main buttons, right? Innovation and efficiency are the reasons why stocks should do better than the money supply. If you really come up with robots and AI, then a company could have 100 workers doing the work of 10 million people with just AI and robots. That means you have a lot of property value but not much cost, right? The good news is that you come up with new things. What's stopping you from doing better than the money supply now? Right? Tax rules, right? Because of taxes and rules, your costs go up in one way or another. And those choices have to do with politics, right? That happen. It looks like the world has been, the SP is like, what is it? Like 8% more or 9% a year. And the money is worth about 7 to 8 times as much. They're pretty much the same, but SP may be up 1% more. So I don't think Bitcoin will have a 50% RR for the next 30 years. That is because then there would be nothing left but it. That's what you should expect. It's getting closer, but it might never reach that point. Michael Saylor just talked about how Bitcoin could support national currencies and change how people are responsible with money. Today, we're going to look more closely at how countries might start competing over Bitcoin reserves. Could Bitcoin become the basis for good government and stable finances in a world where making money is no longer possible? Now, let's hear more of Michael Saylor's thoughts on what this could mean for world economies and countries. That is a victory for the virus of the logical mind. Of course, I agree with what you say about rational leaders. Do you agree? That's lovely. And as we've seen with people, those who learn about Bitcoin become smarter, right? A lot of the Bitcoin maxims, cliches, and tropes are based on facts. That's why I believe Bitcoin makes sense of things. It makes sense to cut down on waste, boost efficiency, extend your time frame, lower the risk of losing a counterparty, and raise your options. All of these things do happen. I believe that Bitcoin will bring about reason as it grows. It will start with people, then spread to families, and finally to businesses. Say a company used Bitcoin as an asset. At the end of each quarter, they would ask, how much of this cash do we want to pay out in dividends and tax at 30% or 40%? How much of this money do we want to use to cover our debt? And you know what? Do we owe too much equity? How much of this money do we want to use to buy small to medium-sized businesses and join or buy other businesses? How much of this cash do we want to turn into Bitcoin? Okay, that's a set of choices that makes sense, not the irrational decision. We need to get rid of it right away because putting it in the bank account will only make things worse. That's why I believe the businesses will become smarter as Bitcoin grows. Because countries will have more choices, I think they will be smarter. We made more than just the general model for that Bitcoin 24 model. The truth is that macro and the Bitcoin model are both interesting, but a global asset class as a whole doesn't evoke as much feeling. You can see what happens if you move to a place with no income tax and accept the Bitcoin standard. What's really interesting are the micro models. You have three maxes, and that's a choice you make with your family. What happens if you take out a mortgage and use the money to buy Bitcoin? This means that the micro model for a person has a lot of emotional weight. Then there's a company model, which is like a small model for businesses. It also shows what happens when a business moves all of its cash into Bitcoin. You can change that too. You can also guess, okay, I run a business. What if I sold half of my shares tomorrow and used the money to buy Bitcoin? That's how much your business is worth $100 million. What would happen if you sold $100 million worth of stock and bought $100 million worth of Bitcoin? What if you kept the Bitcoin for 21 years? You can look at that right now. That is very doable. That's why I think the business plan is interesting. After that, I think we made these models of nation states, but one of them is for a nation state that owes money. It's like you owe money to country state. Why would you buy Bitcoin? Or okay, you're already in debt. What if you take out debt to pay for your running losses? Not a good idea in general. Putting up debt to buy Bitcoin might turn out to be a good idea after all. Okay, you can say that's bad, but that's not bad. I could buy Bitcoin with the $3 billion in debt I took out with 1% interest. That's how you do better than the SP 500. It's only bad when you borrow $3 billion and then spend it all on things and bills and have nothing to show for it. It's bad to spend $3 billion on things that people use up. Click on the link in the description to see the whole interview. We've talked about how Bitcoin could change the way governments handle their money and the fight that might happen for Bitcoin reserves. We'd love to know what you think about these questions. Can Bitcoin completely change how states handle their money? In a market run by Bitcoin, how do you think governments will be able to compete? Glad you tuned into Only the Savvy. If you like this talk, please follow, like, and share our video so that we can make more interesting videos about decentralized technologies.